call to order the Tuesday, April 4th, 2017 meeting of the Harbor and Shellfish Advisory Board. Approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to it, any additions, any?
Can we just touch on the green crab issue again?
I've already got it under old business.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, no changes. I'll take a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, approval of the minutes from March 21st, 2017. Anybody have anything they want me to say?
I give you a couple of grammatical
Okay,
suggestions.
okay. Anyone else? Okay. You what?
No, I just picked up a few when I'm doing it myself.
Oh, okay.
But I know you.
All right. Okay. All right, so hearing no other changes, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda. Minutes, sorry.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay. Okay. Chairman's report. This is just a reminder for the May 16th meeting. I'm going to keep reminding you that the meeting will be at 7 p.m. instead of 5 p.m. in this room. Or we could decide that that's too late and we don't want to meet on that date. We've got time. We've got a month and a half to decide.
Can't we just meet at another location at a regular time?
It's possible. I'll look into that. Okay, I'll see maybe if we can be in the Plus building or upstairs. No, we can't be upstairs because it's HTC. Okay. And so the Natural Resources Department Shellfish regulations proposal, I'm just updating you guys that they're not ready to talk to us about that yet. In fact, I got an email from Jeff just after the meeting started on the 21st saying, I apologize for the delay on this, but it has gotten pushed back by the town council for review until after town meeting. I'm supposed to meet with the town administrator about this as well prior to continuing our discussion. There has been a lot of feedback at our office and to town administration, so they want to understand it fully before we continue. I appreciate yours and the board's patience with this issue. I mean, we're not really waiting on them because they're just seeking a letter of support from us, so that's whenever they want to get it to us. I know we were kind of hot to discuss it, and there were people who had come to the meetings and wanted to speak out, and so I'll make sure that whenever Jeff and Tara are going to come back to us, that those people will know about it, you guys will know about it, and I'll make sure that something gets in the Yankee so that we get, hopefully, enough people here to talk. Okay, election of officers. The election is on the 11th, April 11th, and so I just want to stress that the meeting after that, the 18th, I know that some of you aren't going to be here. Andy, you're not going to be here?
It's possible I won't be here.
Okay, if we can get everybody here, just like today, on the 18th, then we can elect officers. You won't be here? Okay.
18th of May?
18th of April.
Oh, April.
So we'll try for the May meeting then. And the reason I want everybody there is because it's just not fair that 5 people or 4 people are going to vote for the slate of officers. So everybody let me know about the May meeting, which is May 2nd. Okay, and then just a reminder, Election Day is the 11th, and please go vote. So, Marine Department report. Sheila? Andy, can you swing your mic around so she can...
Okay, so the the first thing is environmental police are going to come out and do a boat registration for Nantucket boaters on May 6th and 7th. It's going to be in the town pier lot. They're going to have like a vehicle set up with a generator. And you can do a new registration or you can renew your registration right there. You got to bring a check. They don't want cash or credit card. And we're going to put this out on Twitter and in the newspaper and everything to make sure that the public knows. But that's May 6th and 7th from 8 to 4 both days. On land.
At the town pier?
At the town pier parking lot across the street.
Okay. May
6 and 7.
Okay. And have they done that before?
No, this is new.
Good, and that's
And it's good because we have a lot of dinghies and people have pond boats and stuff that aren't registered. So it's going to give everybody the opportunity instead of having to go to Hyannis to do it. So you just need to bring your boat title and
so you could never do it online or anything.
no.
Renewals you can, but not.
Renewals you can, but not new boats.
Okay.
Do they have to see the boat?
No, you have to bring like, there's a bunch of requirements like a title, like a pencil rubbing of the hull identification number. There's like a list of requirements. But I'll make sure that we get that all out to the public so everybody knows what to have with them when they go.
If you get me that information, I can put it on our Facebook page. I can also put that on Nantucket Chronicle.
Perfect. Yep, I'll get you everything.
If there's no motor on the boat, does it still have to be registered?
No. But anything that has a motor, even if it's just electric motor, has to be registered. Okay, so the headhunter has gone over to Crosby Boatyard and just had a major overhaul on it, and hopefully we're going to be picking that up this month and getting that back so it's ready to go. We'll definitely have it operational. Our goal is to have it operational by May 15th so we can work the bugs out so that we're ready for Fagawi weekend. Trying to get buoys in the water this month as well. Last year we were in real early because we had the weather cooperating a lot better than it is right now. The Coast Guard has discontinued Eel Point, Nantucket Harbor number 2, but it's better known as Eel Point 2, which was the federal aid right at the start of the channel into Nantucket. So we're going to need to mark that now. It's just going to be an additional buoy that we're going to put in. But they deemed it unnecessary. Not enough traffic used it, according to them. So.
Wait, not enough traffic in and out of the...
Yeah, I wrote a letter. I had everybody I could think of write a letter to them and just say, don't do this. But it's not like ferry traffic or anything, and they decided that the size of the boats that were using it, because it's so shallow in there,
Yeah.
that we could privately maintain a buoy to go there, because we do the whole rest of that channel. There's another new thing coming out by the Coast Guard, and I will have more information on it next month. But if the fog signals are going to go to an on-demand, the mariner's going to be able to press something on their radio, and it's going to be a radio signal to the fog signal to make it go off if somebody wants it to. So that one out at the end of the jetty and the one at Brant Point. So it's going to be, the fog signals are going to be on demand, but I'll have a whole big write-up and everything. I was just talking to a bunch of people because I was yelling at them about this buoy, and they were like, get ready for this.
Sounds like an attractive nuisance. You can make that horn do whatever you want. You're out there.
I'll test it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that will test it, I'm sure. But a lot of people complain that it goes off when it's not supposed to anyways, so.
So when there's no fog and you need the buoy, and when you need the horn,
Yeah,
just so you know, just to get your bearings.
right.
Okay.
The jetties, I was out looking at the jetties yesterday. The jetties are ahead of schedule. They're on the west jetty. The east jetty is complete. I went through the cut. The cut has 31 feet at low tide.
Wow.
But on either side of it, it's shoaled up pretty good. So, but the current is moving through there very quickly. It's flushing a lot. It must be flushing a lot better because it's never been 31 feet in there at low tide. So, 31 deep. Yeah, 31 under the boat. Oh, it's the same width. They didn't change anything as far as that, so it's the same. It's the same thing as we always had there. I do think that you can see them a little bit better, but we've got to remember that they're only half-tide jetties, and that's what they promised to bring them back to. So,
But it's the holes that were in the jetties over time
holes in it.
that was the real
Right.
problem.
and it seems to me like they leveled off the top, so they look a lot more level, which is great for like radar, but it's going to, the west jetty I envision is going to be problematic for us because I think people are going to try to walk out on it and think that it's going to be great fishing, and it's going to be an issue.
It's gonna
Because
get-
they're still going to be slippery, they're still going to be
Right.
wet, they're still going to be slimy, they're still going to have all that stuff all over them, so. But we're going to, put up signs, we'll put up barricades, we'll do what we can, but, even when they weren't in that good a shape, we had 2 or 3 people a year on the west jetty. We're hoping to have a mooring meeting at the end of the month. We're going to get that guy from the Eco Roads to come down and show it to the mooring handlers. He's going to show them how it can be hooked up to a door moor anchor and to a mushroom anchor. And so he's available to come anytime. It's more getting the mooring handlers together to get them. Well, I will let you know as soon as I firm up a date, and it will be before your guys' next meeting, so that you'll know when it is.
So it'll be before the 18th, or before the 18th?
Yes,
Okay.
I'll have a date for you before the 18th.
Okay.
The meeting will be after the 18th, but I'll be able to give him a date
Right.
so he can let you guys know. And then just the rest of the boats are gonna go in. We're gonna be putting P2 back in. Right now, we're just working on projects with that. We're doing all the inside stuff that we can. The outside stuff, as I said, is kind of crushing us with this weather, but we're building beds and painting the inside of the lifeguard houses and doing that type of maintenance, and whatever maintenance that we can bring inside of a garage, we'll do. The only beach that we are anticipating having a problem with so far is Nantucket. We lost a fence. Nantucket experienced a lot of erosion. The fence went in the water, and it's like a straight down cliff. Even our ramps aren't going to be able to help unless something changes.
It'll probably grow back a bit.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
But just a forewarning. Other issue is they did that where the access is. They built that berm up for like protection, and now we can't get a machine down onto the beach. And there's 2 septic tanks that are exposed. So we're gonna try to figure that out. But I've had a couple of guys out there looking at it to see, and they're just like, I can't, because that's how they used to go down onto the beach.
Maybe they could come in down by Sheep Pond somewhere, or come on to Massachusetts Ave and go down that way. Andy?
I was out near the Eelskin Inn a couple of weeks ago, and from there to the house on stilts, snow fence was put in, quite a bit of sand accumulated in the fence. But it is basically just walk straight out onto the beach from Main Ave. And there's no drop off. Actually, there's a little dune building up there. Any chance snow fence can go in for a while at the public beach and try to put some stand up?
I can take a look at it, but I don't think so, because the water's right up to the cliff right now, and I think it's just gonna knock it over. Well, we go through this every year. I get nervous every year, and then somehow every year it always ends up that we. So I just hope we follow the same path. But we'll do whatever we can. I'll work with Carlson on it to make sure it's legal, everything that we do. But I can't imagine not having lifeguards out there because people are still going to swim there anyways, and we do have problems in the cut, the Nantucket cut. So we'll have to figure it out. And that's pretty much all I have.
And you guys going to put the buoys at Parkamo Point to keep the kiteboarders from launching from the beach within that area?
Those have to go out July 1st. Those
Okay.
go out July 1st to September 1st. We're going to add another channel going up to the Great Harbor Yacht Club, which is going to displace some moorings, but it's charted that it's on there, and the Coast Guard expects it to be there, so, and we did have 3 people run aground, trying to get in there, so we're gonna add some buoys for that.
I'm just, during race week last year, I saw that there's the new kiteboarding company, Next Level Sports, whatever it is, and they operate out of the Harborview little compound right there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I think they must have a float or something that they launch from, but I did see a whole ton of people over on Co2 being instructed, and they were launching from there. I don't know if the Conservation Foundation gave them permission, but anything that can be done to let people know that they, Anyway, I've seen those guys jumping over Parkamo Point is what I'm getting to.
Okay,
And
well, definitely, and if you ever see something like that, just call me because I'll go up there.
Well, that guy, the main guy, whatever his name, Yuri.
Okay, he's not that guy, though.
He's the guy that teaches kiteboarding, though.
For them?
No, he has his own business. He's got a white van that says Nantucket.
Yeah, no, I know. I deal with him every year.
But he posts on Facebook whenever someone's jumping that point.
Okay, but I don't go on Facebook.
Okay.
So that's
So
not a
the
good
next
way
time
for
I
me
see
to
that,
know.
I'll let you know.
Just let me know.
And I have a lot of friends who are kiteboarders, and I've mentioned this to them, and they said, "Hold on, don't go off and do something crazy." And I'm like, "Yeah, but there's people on the beach when these people are doing
Absolutely.
this." So it's as a, it's corny, but as a person who is on a town board, if I see something like that, I can't just
Yeah, no, please let me
Let
know
it go.
because I will definitely, and I mean, if we have continued problems with them, they are licensed through us,
right.
so that we can do something with their license. There is a group, the Rangers or the trustees of reservation.
Yeah.
People have their own group that's doing kiteboarding and paddleboarding lessons as well, but they did not have to get permitted through the town because they're not on town.
The trustees won't be doing that anymore. They had a paddleboarding rental and guiding thing last year, and I've since spoken to the guy Fred Polnack,
Yeah.
and he said they got some interest, but mostly it was too windy up in there, plus
Yeah.
all the bugs. So they won't be doing that this year,
Yeah.
unless they have something else I don't know about.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. So then it will just be this licensed group and then the Nantucket kiteboarding guy. The Nantucket kiteboarding guy is fine. He doesn't usually mess with Pakama. The problem that we have with him is he leaves his boat stranded places
Yeah.
and like with the keys in it and the engine down, and we always think somebody fell off. And he's having a hamburger, but we're doing a search, and we've got door-to-door searches going on, and we've got the Coast Guard and helicopters and boats and planes and everything else. So
Yeah. Huh.
that's our only issue that we have with that.
Okay.
And I did see on your guys' thing this about gray water, so I brought some information if we were going to talk about that tonight.
Okay. Right. Anybody have any questions for Sheila about her report?
Sheila, the buoy you were talking about in Nantucket, is that the one that was off station with the last storm?
No, it's the Eel Point buoy, Nantucket Harbor buoy number 2. It's a Coast Guard federal aid. It used to be a steel buoy. And ours are all foam. Once you get inside, this one's outside.
Is that the one way offshore marking that bar out there?
Wasn't marking a bar, it was to mark the entrance to the channel to come
Okay.
into Eel Point.
Can you tell me if the galls are open now?
The Gulls.
Yeah, they get a wash through there?
Oh, they haven't so far.
Yeah, it was posted on Facebook. I was just wondering if it's true.
Yeah, there were a couple photos over the last couple of days of showing water washing over between way up on the north end of the Galls. There's that break in the dunes, and
Yeah.
it showed water washing over. Not a channel, but it definitely was.
Yeah, well, probably the seas were like 20, 25 feet offshore. But I had the Coast Guard fly over it. They've flown over it a couple times, and they said that it's nothing permanent.
Right. It does wash over.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay. All right. No natural resources report because Jeff Carlson is not here. However, he did send me this email. He was basically trying to tell people to go to the Division of Marine Fisheries thing that was held on Wednesday the 22nd, which, if anyone was here, you guys saw that it was packed. And also to talk about, well, he says the grants, the NOAA grants, he wanted to let us know that they are continuing to apply for and seek out new grant opportunities. The NOAA grants this year have changed to include a 2-to-1 matching component, which makes it difficult for us to budget funds with such a significant match. We will have a number of other opportunities and funding to present at an upcoming meeting. So there's an update on that. We don't have it on the agenda, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. Public comment and on Marine and/or Natural Resources Department report. No public. Old business. We move right to gray water, and he has a line in here on gray water. He said, "This is an issue that the Conservation Commission and the Board of Health have both taken up lately. There is preliminary discussion of agenda items or possible subcommittee or a possible subcommittee to continue the review discussion of this issue. We have received great cooperation from all of the docking and mooring facilities in regards to information requested and significant support from the Nantucket Shellfish Association in regards to this topic." So, and I did get back to him about that and said, thanking him for making us aware of that this is further down the road than we had gotten, and told him that if there was a subcommittee to be created, we'd like to have a member on there, and he said absolutely. So I throw it open to you guys for the gray water. What do you think? Do you have anything you want to add? Someone was going to, I think I was supposed to talk to Christy for the information, but then after I talked to Jeff, after I get the email from Jeff, I figured we would just wait and see what the other groups out there were doing before we started to get going, because we might be wasting our time. What do you guys think?
I was on the website of the Nantucket Shellfish Association, and they actually put out a brochure for boaters, and it said right there that pumping gray water is illegal is in our harbor. Is that true, Harbor Master?
Yes.
Yeah, it's already illegal for them to do it.
Andy, you had your hand up.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thanks. First of all, just to back up a little bit, we haven't had Resource Department staff here for a while. Just wondering if there's a reason, an explanation you could. I mean, I see you've got a written report there, which is satisfactory to me. I'm just wondering if they've been, busy or been told to watch the budget again, or it's been, 3, 4 meetings since we've seen them. I think actually since Tara proposed the new regulation for the scallopers is the last time we've seen them.
Okay, I'll
Just curious.
No, I'm curious as well. I'll email Jeff about it.
And if you don't mind, quickly, I guess, at the last Shellfish Association meeting, there was lengthy discussion on gray water. I'll read quickly what was in their minutes. An update with Mr. Drake reporting on his follow-up inquiries with Catalina Island, if you're all familiar with that, in California. And he also talked with Harbor Master Lucy. Catalina detects and deters gray water discharge from the 20,000 boats in its harbor by inserting dye tablets in the tanks of all boats. This is implemented by a staff of about 20. According to Harbor Master Lucy, there are 47 dock sewer connections displayed on a map. And here's the marina, and it shows on here where the 47 connections are. And that provide docked boats with easy access to a means of disposal using hose extensions made available on site to any boat. The dockmaster reports all boats can connect this way. Further discussion ensued regarding how to verify full compliance with use of these 47 dock sewer connections and the usefulness of further detail on exactly how Catalina Island enforces compliance with its dye program. So, that's about as far as it's gotten. I feel that it's good. It seems as though we and the Shellfish Association are about, nose to nose and what we're doing. Mr. Drake would like himself, myself, and Rick Peterson to get together and try to come up with a plan of attack, so to speak, some type of plan and idea to implement better compliance, I guess. From the meeting before where Steve Bender spoke at the Shellfish Association, it was questionable the substance to his claims, but at the same time, it's certainly worthy of looking into. And of course, Sheila has nowhere near 20 people under her reign to be able to work on a dye program and then to keep an eye of the harbor and marina waters to look for this dye, especially at night. Not quite sure how that would work. If it, certainly you'd have to be patrolling with some lights, and would certainly, take some more people in Sheila's department. But that may be a worthy route to take. The marina itself, if any of you have ever seen it, has a little handout they have with tips and suggestions, and it's certainly it covers all bases, but there's really no teeth involved. There's nothing here that says anything about enforcement. Nobody's threatened with being kicked out of the boat basin for any reason, which maybe having a little more enforcement in writing and a little more enforcement actually seen on the water patrolling about the marina could make a big difference. And here again, this is something that I feel where the boat basin is a for-profit industry there, and I'm sure collects a good amount of rent for what they do, for the activity they have there in the summer. Would be great if they were, involved in policing themselves. And just to add to this a little bit, Dan Drake is going to be stepping down from the Shellfish Association. He's been the president there for quite some time. June He'll be stepping down in June, and his shoes are about the size of Wilt Chamberlain's in my book, and it'll take several people to fill them. And it's really an interesting association. They give out a lot of grants, as they have to the natural resources, and also scholarships to some of the girls that work at Natural Resources to further their education. They've got a very large membership, over 250 people, and they also have quite a big bank account, so they go over their finances quite a bit, and at the moment they have, over $200,000 at their disposal to grant for whatever programs they feel are going to help with the health of the harbor, or I believe it was Ms. Cabral who got a scholarship from them to continue her education, and they kind of vet when they're asked. They said, if we're going to invest in your education, we hope that you are going to commit to Nantucket for a while, and she promised to do so. And as you all know, she's still with us at the Natural Resources Department. So,
plus, if you will, they also take some of that money and contribute to the Great Harbor Yacht Club grant program, of which I'm the SHAB representative and sit on when proposals for work for research in the harbor come in, and if there's overage, it's only a $35,000 donation from the Great Harbor Yacht Club. So when the amounts are over that amount, NSA usually contributes to help meet if they need the extra cash. All right, go ahead.
well, that's about all. I'm just, I'm proud to be a part of it. I love to sit in on their meetings, and they're a concerned and diverse group of individuals, and they certainly have, they take a lot of care in what they do, and they're serious about it. So it's not what one may expect, a bunch of older guys just trying to hang on to push raking rights to scalloping. They go way beyond that. So I'm proud of them, and I encourage anybody here to join and get involved. It's $75 a year, and that also helps you it's easier to get a ticket to their biggest fundraiser, the Scallopers Ball, when you're a member. So, but other than that, you just mentioned, Concom and who else being involved?
Board of Health.
The Board of Health with Greywater. It sounds like there's a lot of heads coming together. Hopefully then maybe a subcommittee can be formed with somebody from each group, and all these ideas can come into play, and maybe we can hear from Sheila on her thoughts. I know the die tabs have been used during Memorial Day weekend for the Fagawi participants, but I don't believe it goes any further than that.
Okay, I was going to give you guys the same brief that I gave to Dan Drake,
Sure.
and I also have emails from Dan Drake with questions that he asked, and how he and I answered them. First off, the Nantucket Boat Basin pumps between 85,000 and 90,000 gallons per year in their cart, and what's piped in, which really isn't measured. They don't have a meter at each place cart piped in. It's actually 74 standpipes, not 47. 74 of them. They do 10,000 gallons for people pulling up to get fuel. We do between 25 and 30,000 gallons a year. 5,000 gallons done at the end of the year. So it's close to 150,000 gallons pumped out of the harbor every year. We're on the way 8 to 10 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week. It's free of charge, so people have no reason not to pump out. When we visit every boat on the morning, we visit every boat at anchor. Christina Rice, all boats in the range will be pumped out with those sewer connections. We have a golf cart outfitted with a pump, several hoses, 30, 70, 100-foot extensions, so they can use any boat with any of their slips. Says presumably those that slip stop sewer connections are supposed to go to NIR's pump out station as needed. It's not necessary because they have that cart. She has 2 people a day, you know, she has 2 people a day on 7 days a week, up until like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, if you get it. I've seen that many smaller boats, which do have holding tanks, bypass those tanks to the gray water, and go directly overboard. No, all those tanks are pumped out by our staff. They're not allowed to bypass the tank. We pump overboard. We pump out small, medium, and large boats all day long. Same goes for us.
When you're saying pump out, they're pumping both gray water and sewage?
Yes. Do the mega yachts have separate holding tanks with black and gray water? Does it all flush through the same system? He said, no, most of all mega yachts have separate black and gray water tanks. The smaller boats all just go into the same tank. Do you have an idea of how average fresh water the mega yachts take on in a given day? When we close it out as gray water, black water, and she said we do not need it much. And then he said, last email said, this is very clear and helpful, and I think I'm all set for questions. As far as policing goes, we are underway at night. We are underway checking. We are in the town pier. We do have the CSOs walking up and down the town pier all night, making sure that nobody's washing down. You know, nobody's using soap if they are washing down, and everybody's rinsing them. She's hired extra security to go around on her docks to make sure that nobody's using soap. The water quality of Nantucket is just as important to the boat basin as anybody else. It's one of their selling points. So they're more than in compliance with this, and anything that we've ever asked them to do, they did. And she's, you know, she's like, I don't know what else people want, like all of a sudden, because Steve Bender was bringing up stuff from the 1970s. It's all of a sudden become a big issue. And we have progressed as time has progressed, and we're way past where we were in 1970. We're doing the best we can with what we have. I don't think dive taps is a realistic idea for every single boat that enters the harbor. I just don't. Might work in Catalina Island, that's fantastic, but I don't see it working here. And I don't know that that's the way we want to do business anyways. It's a big country, you know, and if they get boarded, I mean, we have written tickets. She has thrown people out of the boat basin for pollution reasons. And when they get thrown out of the boat basin for pollution reasons, we don't allow them, I don't allow them to go onto a mooring or to yank, but basically get thrown off in Nantucket. The pump out stations, everybody, Marine has one, they have one, we have one. There's just more than enough opportunity to physically get pumped out. It states right on the chart, it says in all of our NOAA publications, this is the federal no discharge zone. It's very well known to mariners, this is our no discharge. Of gray, black, and blue. So, in my opinion, and Christina and I meet about this probably, we meet once a week, and we talk about gray water at least once a week. And I think we're doing the best we can, and I think we're doing a pretty good job. I think the numbers show it. I don't think that gray water, obviously, you know, should be considered a problem, but we're doing the best we can and what we have to control and enforce it. And I think that there's other things that need to get looked at.
I don't think I've heard anybody say that you guys aren't doing what's expected and going beyond that. I just think that yeah, Steve's got some people worked up, obviously the Shellfish Association and us, and I think that anything that would come out of maybe a subcommittee would only to, you know, will only serve to help you guys, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to do whatever everybody wants, but
That's a lot of stuff we didn't know, everything that you just told us, so that's a lot of information we may not have had before.
Mr. Chairman?
I believe Ken had his hand up.
I'd just like to ask, do you have a sense of which boats by size or age, or maybe there's some sliding scale by how old they are, how big they are, have gray water holding tanks, or the things are plumbed into the holding tank?
I don't know the year, but I've been working with the Coast Guard on trying to figure out the year, and we've also talked to some pool builders when they started thinking septic tank. Problem is the Coast Guard, nobody can make a boat owner retrofit their boat, but we can make them put everything into the black water tank. And so I would say it's probably the smaller boats that don't have the separate tanks. At least that's what we've seen.
What's a smaller boat?
I would say like 65 feet and up.
Glad I asked the question.
But don't, like, some of the boats that are smaller than that, some of them have heads on them, don't they? Have bathrooms.
Oh, heads, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they have black water tanks. I thought especially like which ones.
What about gray water?
Gray and black.
Gray water holding tanks.
Gray water.
Or plumbed to hold the gray water, either way. Yeah.
But the gray water is pumped and going into the black water tank.
In some boats.
In most boats.
The bigger ones or the...
So small too. Most boats have it all plumbed to go into the one tank. Especially if you don't have the two separate tanks.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lowell.
No, Sheila, we were under the impression that, smaller boats, say 40 feet and under, were more likely not to be plumbed gray water to the black water tank, just simply plumbed to go straight overboard. Certainly, our assumption could be wrong. And I would also like to add that it's very refreshing to hear that your back and forth communication with the boat basin is at such a great level.
Yeah. I mean,
Thanks.
That's their business. They want the place to be pristine as they can get it to be. That's what they sell it.
And you mentioned there's some other things that maybe we should be concerned about. Any suggestions that you'd like to mention?
Well, yeah, sometimes I think people, seems like, it just seems to me, like, it goes in waves. Like, 1 minute it's the moorings, and the next minute it's gray water, and then the next minute it's fertilizer, and the next minute it's salt dredges are too big, and then the next minute, it just seems like we just go in circles. And I think it's a combination of everything. And we meet all the time with Jeff, RLC2, meet with Jeff, meet with the health people, and we all talk about what they're responsible for. We have to answer to the town administrator for that. She'll call us and say, so what are we doing about oyster points? What are we doing about gray water? What are you doing about this? What are you doing? We just go down the line. The new health guy, you've got that new health guy though, he's into the gray water thing. Him and I talk all the time. I promise you, there's not something that we're looking the other way on. I promise that. And we send the pump boat operators out. I asked them to ask the people if this is both black or gray water. And 99% of the time the answer is yes. The times that the Coast Guard boards boats that have tanks, they go down below to make sure that the tank, there should be a boarding officer in the Coast Guard, the tank has to be locked with a wire tie into the closed position so that it can't pump over the side. So if they are ever boarded by the Coast Guard and that's found to be open, that's a violation. Because it's a federal no discharge zone. So people are aware of it and they're scared of it, and it's a gigantic fine if you catch somebody with that thing in the open position. And that pump boat, I promise you, is out there all day long, and they just cruise through the mooring field, and if they see anything that looks like anything, they call me, we send a patrol boat out, we say, what are you and why you're doing it. They don't have connection to fresh water out there, so they're not usually washing the boats off with salt water, or they're just, clearing the deck, just picking up buckets of salt water. So,
So-
I think a lot of times people see the air conditioners going, and they think the generators going, and they see the raw water intakes, pumping out, and they think that that's their showers and their sinks, and I think it's the generators that have been used by that a couple of times. Other people think it's their bilge pump, like we get called all the time, if it must be sinking because the bilge pump hasn't shut off, and it's the guy's air conditioner. And that just comes water, and it's just raw water, salt water.
So would you, if someone was discharging gray water, would you definitely, if you saw it, you'd know it, or is it easy to confuse it with air conditioning water or bilge water or?
Oh, that, it is actually gray. It has a film, it looks like soap suds, and it looks like, it's like cloudy, it makes the water real cloudy around it, so you can see. So
Okay.
it's doing, before this all got hot and heavy, you could always tell when somebody was washing their boat down, because they have some soap suds and stuff. And, our guys are on them like Batman, if they're down there, they just fresh water rinse on. If you wanna wash boats, they take it out of the water, put it on a trailer. For us, in the boat basin, doesn't go somewhere else, we're just gonna do it here.
I know you got a question, Ken, but I got one more thing. So we have under new business a discussion about detergent. We might as well just sort of lump that in with this, unless anyone has an objection. But, if you want to wash your boat and it's sitting in the water, you can't do that, can you? And are the people who bring in the boats into the boat basin and into the harbor, are they made aware of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I promise you like this, it says right here, wash your boat only with water and a brush, no soap. And we tell them all that, and as soon as we see them come in, we tell them, she talks to every single person that comes in, they give them like a welcome bag.
Right.
And in their welcome bag, she gives them from the Shellfish Association, plus she has her own stuff printed up, plus the kids this. And the last thing the kid says is, anytime you need a pump out, the part's right here, you can plug in right here, but their regular customers just go and plug themselves right in the door. And, but they help them figure out where the closest place, they give them extension line so that it just goes straight in. And like I said, she's got extra security on. The guy from Wicked Tuna, one of the guys on Wicked Tuna was in the boat basin last year, and he pumped something over the side, and everybody around him dined him out and did everything, and we went down there with us, the cops, the post guy, Christina, and the security people, and said, wrap it up, pack it up, it definitely came from you. Of course, I did a full boarding on him, and said, it definitely came from you, pack up your stuff, and go. Guys said, can I go on Ingram? Nope. Can I go to the morning? Nope. He said, come pick it up in Nantucket. We're like, yep. And they gave him 20 minutes to go.
How big a boat was that?
42.
Ken?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to ask our harbor master that when you put dye in for Fagawi and the Opera House Cup, how many violations per year do you get? None. Okay, thank you.
Valley, neither one of them want to use their permit.
Joe?
Thank you.
Bill, you're next.
One of the things you just said I think is really important, and that is that harbor pollution is a multifactorial issue, and that we seem to spin our wheels talking about it in different places. It seems to me that it would be great if we had a harbor pollution group that looked at all the factors you talked about, and that way, rather than people spinning their wheels at different meetings, they could get together periodically and talk about these things in unison, because it's tons of small things that make the problem big. And we just keep saying, oh, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's everything.
Like
So
maybe
I
the-
commend you on that comment, and I think that that's something maybe we should look at carefully, is having a group or starting a group that could look at all this
like the
under
fir-
under your guidance, because you're the person that sees the most of it.
like the fertilizer advisory committee. You know, they don't have any power, but they work with the health department and on that one issue. I think it's a good idea, Joe, and it's probably along the lines of what Jeff Carlson was talking about, some sort of subcommittee. And on what Joe was saying to you, Sheila, just don't look at us like we're coming down on you.
Yeah.
It's just,
No, I
this is,
know, I know you're not. I know you're not. I know you guys aren't, but I get defensive because I've answered this like 22 billion times.
right. It's just that we are, this is in our purview.
No, I
And
am
so,
100%
and so even if it's Steve Bender or Dan Drake or some other person that comes in and says, hey, you gotta look into this, well, we look into it, just because we represent the people of Nantucket, and
I agree.
so,
I got no problem answering your guys' special shellfish association. I have no problem with it. It's just been a mirage.
yeah.
Like, lately, and Christine and I are just like, we don't know what, like, now we are starting to go, what else are we supposed to be doing? What are we missing?
Well,
But I also think if we do this subcommittee, and I will recommend to Jeff Carlson, I'd like to get a member of Boad on board, so they can ask them directly.
I'll get back to you, Joe, and Bill had a question.
No, just the latest thing facing us, commercial fishing and probably everything, is you cannot pump the engine out anywhere, anytime. It has to be done with a tank truck. It's a pain because you have stuffing boxes and
I agree.
shafts and it's scary, you know.
You know what?
Are they all set up in New Bedford for
Yeah, they
you know,
do. Actually, nice, real good. They can come right down. And so far, it's been 3. So they come. It can be one. It can be 2 boats out, and they come right down. And well, they don't come right down. You make arrangements. Get a hold as long as you can and make arrangements. You know, they come within it. Well, they'll come down if you want. You know, you can help you out. The guy comes. You have to just open up the engine room. The guy comes down. Big thing, sucks it all right out. Goes through all the rat holes. Nice. No.
thanks, Bill. Joe?
This was just in addition to what we were talking about. One of the things that I think maybe needs to be emphasized is that on this type of committee that we're talking about, or subcommittee, I think it would be important for there to be a representative from the innkeepers and from the Chamber of Commerce, so that they begin to understand that this harbor gets messed up, their businesses go away. And I think that that's a disconnect for people. You know, you just don't relate those two things. It's so pretty right now, but if in 10 years it's the pits, nobody's going to be able to benefit from how nice this harbor is. So I'm just amazed that those folks aren't involved more in this, and just to see it and maybe contribute in some way or another to setting up the committee, maybe getting another boat for pump outs. I mean, I don't know, but I think that they're a big organization and they have plenty of clout and power and money, and they just need to be held accountable as well as anybody else who's in the basin.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lowell?
Sheila, when the steamship implemented upon themselves to pump out, I remember hearing some of the guys working there complaining that they had to handle those hoses and do that pump out during their half-hour layover. And, of course, there was a lot of retrofitting done down at Steamboat Wharf for that to take place, and on the ships themselves. I'm just curious. It's nice to know there's 74, not 47. Dan had printed 47, and I was counting the little smudges that are on here, and it went above 47. So, but anyhow, have you ever witnessed that pump out with these extension hoses, and how does that work? Is it aesthetically pleasing? I mean, are we dealing with hoses with some dripping ends, and you know, everything's kept clean, and obviously it doesn't turn any people away while they're doing it, or I mean, I'm sorry.
We don't, it's very well done. We have the same equipment as each other, so if our stuff breaks, she can borrow from us. If our stuff breaks, I can borrow from her. If her stuff breaks, she can borrow from us. And we all buy, like, all the hoses every year, the cam, with the cam fittings and everything else. There's nothing, because, well, first, we can't have our employees touching it and putting their hands on it, because that's the problem itself.
Mm-hmm.
And, second, you know, obviously don't want to turn the voters off or having it.
Right. Okay.
So we're very careful to make sure that the stuff is in pristine condition and that, there's not a problem.
So at
Trust me, they'll scream if there's a little bit of a pinhole in it.
Uh-huh.
I'm talking about our,
I'm sure. Yeah.
nobody wants to wear it.
Yes. Okay. Thanks.
Anyone else? Questions for Sheila or
Chairman?
any statements? Ken?
Sheila, you were talking about that you and Christina are always looking for new ideas of anything that you can do. Fairly recent meeting, I mentioned that the boat basin acts as a natural catch basin for oil that comes off of boats. Engines, I don't know, I almost never see an outboard that doesn't have some oil coming off it. I don't know if anything exists or if we can work out a way to have some kind of oil absorbers in the catch basin. You see it along the piers that are in there, or in the natural, you know, the corners where things normally build up.
Yeah, we put boom out once we start seeing some issues. We lay boom all along the bulkheads.
Oh. Well, just in general, when you're down there, randomly you'll see oil float by. There isn't any. Do you know of anything that could just constantly be circulating surface water to take off whatever might be there, like they have on a pool, the skimmer on a pool or something?
Yeah, I don't, but I can definitely look into it.
Yeah.
I mean, the town has a skimmer, if we ever have a huge pollution problem, but you have to be pumping it into something and
Mm-hmm.
and usually on a boat. But, yeah, I can definitely have it. Or I can look at stuff and see if we can find it.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, so are we comfortable waiting for a possible subcommittee to be created onto which we would appoint a representative? Or do we maybe want to be ahead of that and appoint a representative now in case that does happen? What do you guys think?
Who's going to implement the form of committee? I guess is the question. Does somebody have that responsibility?
It sounds like Mr. Carlson and maybe Miss Lucy and maybe Roberto Santa Maria might be doing that. But I can, tomorrow I can get a hold of Jeff and see where that's at. And
Yeah, you gotta ask Jeff, because I don't know anything about stuff. I haven't heard anything about stuff.
okay,
Unless he's considering what we do, like, order. So,
yeah.
May I suggest to him that we think that would be a good idea?
Yes. I just didn't want us to, in reference to what Joe said, spinning our wheels, talking and talking and talking. If something is going to, if some other entity is going to take this on, and then we just get reports from our representative, and that gets worked on while we proceed with other things.
If we get to that point, I'd volunteer.
Unless somebody else wants to. Okay.
You know, I mean, it's something that I'd be interested in.
Okay. Okay, well, if there's nothing else on that, we can move on to,
Sorry, wait, was that, you gonna follow up with Jeff and see if that's in the works?
yes, I will. Yep.
Mr. Chairman.
Andy.
I would be, in favor of the subcommittee also, as long as it's not just another committee that is asking the same questions to Sheila again. Hopefully that would become, if this committee culminates, it becomes the go-to committee so that there are not now 5 instead of 4 entities asking these same questions to Sheila. And,
Well, the idea would be, it would be some from us, some from the NSA, hopefully Sheila, hopefully Roberto, so that when issues came up, or, maybe, I don't know how often we'd meet, maybe we'd meet once a month, but at least, if something happened, that advisory board, that advisory committee would handle whatever was going on, and also at the same time strive to make, Sheila's and Christie's job more efficient. And so it wouldn't be us plus a committee plus the NSA going after whatever was going on. It would be, that's why it would be created. Sheila.
good. That's
The plan, yeah.
And Mr. Chairman, just
Andy.
to, if for any reason Mr. LaPuma is not capable of fulfilling that, I'm certainly willing to be the first runner-up.
Well, we could always appoint 2 people, because then there'd always be at least one person there if one person couldn't, Fritz.
I might suggest that you might want to see whether Nantucket or Cormac are interested in that they get involved in similar kinds of issues. I don't think staff.
Okay, definitely. Okay. Eelgrass protection and dredging. Do we have any more we want to say about this at this time? Well, we did have a new business, boat washing and detergents. Do you guys think that we discussed that enough during the gray water discussion? Or does anybody have any questions of Sheila relating to boat washing detergents? Joe?
Is there a product that you can use to wash your boat that doesn't have soap in it, that doesn't contaminate the water, that you're aware of?
Well, we found a few that are all saying that they're environmentally friendly in nature. That one, none that, and the Shellfish, which anybody has to do.
Okay, that's very
So that's why it was on the water.
Anything else? No. Okay, we're all set.
Thank you, Sheila. Mr. Chairman,
Andy?
somewhat related to eelgrass protection. I'd like to, through you, a question for Mr. McClure, if I may. Fritz, within the fertilizer program you're involved in, is there also anything, it's just something that started running through my mind, seeing all these ads for Roundup and pesticides, weed killer, and these, and I see a lot of guys in my neighborhood with their shell driveways. They go out there like John Wayne and their gallon of Roundup and their little pistol on the end, and they're just shooting and shooting at all these weeds in their grass driveway. And is that a part of the fertilizer program?
In a way, but if I may have just
I mean,
Go ahead. Go ahead,
just-
Fritz.
bring you up to date.
Sure.
I would say right now, and for the last 6 months, the major focus has been on education for licensing of landscape contractors and anybody who applies fertilizer. That is gotten actually quite a bit of attention. There was to be a training session Delta Fields, I guess that's the fields out here near the airport, on Thursday, but that may be postponed because they anticipate major rain, I guess, on Thursday. But that was going to be a program where there would be stations and people would learn, contractors or anybody applying fertilizer would be go to from station to station, which would be how to read the bag, how to calibrate the spreader, and then other things. The other aspect of that is through the town and health department. Those training sessions will be videotaped, 5 segments, so that on a recurring basis, you basically will have somebody explaining in 5 to 10 minutes, maybe probably 5 minutes, how you read fertilizer, how you calibrate, so that it doesn't, so you have uniformity in terms of what the information is, and then they'll be tested. So right now, the focus has really been on landscaping contractors, use of fertilizer, proper use of fertilizer. Everybody who applies fertilizer has to be licensed. The question now has come up on pesticides. So I think the major focus was how do we get these landscapers licensed properly and educated properly. And, oh, by the way, those films are going to be in 2 languages if they English and Spanish.
Great.
And if necessary, if it's determined that there are other languages that they need to be, I think the town's got a grant of $20,000 or a budget of $20,000 for these training. A lot of them are going to be done in-house. So I think that's moving along pretty well. I personally feel pretty good about it. The question came up at the last meeting about pesticides and also fertilizer being applied by homeowners, fertilizer being applied by homeowners or gardeners as opposed to landscapers. And the recommendation was, since everybody on the committee is a landscaper, plus me and farmer. So that's who the committee is. The feeling is that we should be adding somebody from the gardening community so that that aspect is being covered as well. And there have been some suggestions as to who that participant might be. I volunteered, if they feel that the committee, they don't want to get too big, I volunteered to step off if they have somebody that they want to appoint. They're just basically for informational purposes. I'm not adding much to the conversation in terms of, because I've lots of expertise. In any event, that may come to fruition. The last thing of the discussion was about pesticides and even things such as cream. So, for instance, putting cream down, technically, it's a state regulation. The person putting it down has to be licensed. And so you get into all of the issues of Roundup, cream, anything that is toxic to something in the garden or in the garden is subject to licensing and regulation. The difficulty is, as I understand it, here all the time, the policing of that is with the environmental people, not the health department, and or the same people who are licensing, for instance, contractors, the landscape contractors. So the difficulty with that is, although it may be subject to licensing and restriction and regulation, there's nobody on Nantucket to enforce it. list of products. In some cases, they're creating new products. So, for instance, instead of a Scott's 1, 2, 3, 4 program, we might have one of these people, the commercial reviews, that would come up with a similar type of product that they would be compliant as opposed to non-compliant. The other thing is the vendors. They talk to Marine Lumber, Island Lumber, Valero. I think those are the major. Island Lumber is fully on board. The individual members, like that guy, I don't know,
Charlie Fisher.
no, that's the garden department. And he came to our last meeting, and Island Lumber basically said, we will do anything you want us to do. And eventually, the hope is that they will carry only compliant fertilizers. Marine Lumber has indicated that they will also move in that direction. They got away from Scott's brand, kind of stuck by the Home Depot or whatever. And the third is not person that Valero has not indicated interest in participating. So that's where we are. So I think a lot's happening. But the problem with the pesticides is there's nobody to enforce it, as I understand it.
What made me think of it was being here at a meeting about, not at one of our meetings, but the health department was, or the Board of Health was trying to get everybody who has town water in front of them to hook up to town water. The health director mentioned that he was concerned, especially in Nantucket, that we could end up having problems with birth defects. And I think it's pretty well known that birth defects begin with pesticide contamination, and so I'm just hoping that it is implemented into this fertilizer program, that it should be of just as much, if not more, concern than the fertilizer itself.
I think they're moving in that direction.
Yeah.
It's taken a while to figure out exactly what they wanted to do. They're relying on the health department in town, basically, funding or organizing and taping, that type of thing. So it's happening. That's been the major focus of the money. Trying to get it done in time for the opening fertilizer season, which I think is
15.
There's a lot. If you have specific questions you want to ask or whatever, Roberto is right on. Well, actually, that committee, both Jeff and Roberto attended. He's there.
My only concern would be is how readily available the Roundup is, and other pesticides, and how widely they're used, and is it really necessary, to go that far with it?
I think it would be helpful if maybe more people around it, and Roundup can be used for a lot of different applications. I don't know. I would guess that probably most of it's being used on homework,
Yeah.
which
Sure.
is very, very difficult. I mean, it's subject to regulation. You got to have somebody who's either you're not selling it or you're labeling it saying this doesn't comply with state regulation, or some policing. It's really hard to consider policing. The nice thing is there are a limited number of suppliers on Nantucket, and so if you can get to those suppliers, you'll make a lot of progress. You can't, somebody's going to stop at Home Depot or something else. Whatever they have to do.
Yeah.
I think you can reduce a lot of the problems if you can just get the three major suppliers rather than
pesticides and fertilizers to be cooperative, and 2 out of the 3 are.
song.
I hate to point out one person, but we seem to.
That's in a song. 2 out of 3
Don't call
ain't
it
bad.
vilifying somebody who ought to, appear to be more cooperative.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fitz. Joe?
There's only one caveat in all of this. You can get Roundup on Amazon.
Yeah.
They'll ship
Oh,
you
yeah.
a gallon in a heartbeat. The other problem is that there's all these bottles that say not Roundup. Except the problem there is that Roundup, or the chemical in it, the glyphosate, went off patent about 5 years ago. There are tons of products out there that say no Roundup in it, but it is Roundup. It's just a modified chemical. For instance, when the Pond Coalition sprayed Hummock Pond and Long Pond to kill the Phragmites, they said it wasn't Roundup. Well, it wasn't. It was Aquapro, which is just glyphosate with another thing attached to it. You take the basic product, you can attach 2 things to it and call it whatever the hell you want to call it. It's basically the same product. So, the decision was made to do this on the ponds because the Phragmites was such an issue, but it was taken as there's no other way to do this because we don't own a harvester, we don't own anything to clean the Phragmites out of the ponds. So there is a lot of that stuff going into the water, and at the health meeting when they were talking about the wells, to me there was a little bit of a heavy hand going there. The data that Roberto used was almost 30 years old. It was from the 70s. I mean, we had our well tested right after that, and no contaminants. And we live in Nantucket, just off the Long Pond. So, I think there's a lot to be said for this, but I think the first thing is that people have to have their wells tested. It's $30. You fill up a bottle, you take it down to the health department, and they ship it off to the mainland, and it gets tested. And that's one way to protect everybody. That's outside of our purview, but I think it's a really important issue because it's about groundwater contamination. But that's not what we've been doing. And I can tell you that where I live, you can go across a street where it drops off 20 feet and people live on the pond. You can't drink that water. It's abysmally, it turns brown in sunlight because there's so much iron in it, or that it has all kinds of pollutants in it, heavy metals and all sorts of other things. So, again, not our purview, but I think something that we need to keep on our radar because water is water and it just goes from one place to another.
I'll press in this meeting. It's a Department of Health group, so I'll press in terms of trying to get the discussion a little bit larger than simply commercial fertilizer, which it's been to date. But like I say, fertilizer by gardeners and pesticides came up at the last meeting. So I think people are beginning to branch out a little bit in their thinking.
Really sensitive.
Anyone else? Do we want to move on to green crabs? Do you want me to keep the eelgrass dredging a constant item on the agenda?
I'll motion that we do that and keep it on the agenda as we do that.
We don't have to do a vote, but I'll put it on there. For green crabs, just today I got there's a blog called the Coastlines Project, and they send all kinds of stuff out about erosion and other coastal matters. And so this is about turning a green crabs into a delicacy. So it's just, hey, don't laugh. Don't laugh. There's enough for everybody there. But the meeting is on the 6th, Thursday. If anyone happens to be off island, just
That's a little haul.
The day after tomorrow.
well, I just got it today. I'm sorry.
Does anybody know if it's televised in any way? Can we get it? Is there a
I can
feed
find
that
out.
we could follow up on?
There's a lot going on that day, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying anyone should go. It's just it's interesting.
My intentions, Mr. Chairman, are actually to go to the marine mammal meeting on the gray seals Thursday. I'll be meeting up with Pete Howell, and we'll be attending that. It's an all-day meeting in Falmouth.
Oh, didn't know about that.
In Falmouth or Woods Hole?
North Falmouth.
Or North Falmouth?
Yeah. My daughter just texted me the directions if you're interested.
Oh, you know the address or the?
Yeah. We'll go over it afterwards if you'd like, unless Mr. Chairman would like to have it on the record.
No, that's no big deal.
Right.
Mr. Chairman.
Fritz.
I also, at the, after our last meeting, I talked to Cormac again at the Nantucket Lake Council about the green crabs, and he indicated to me that they were meeting, and that they have now already met with Mariah Mitchell, and they're proposing a joint project to, what do you want to call it, a joint project to looking at green crabs and prevalence of them, some surveying with that. I asked him before the meeting whether there was anything more that I could report, and he said, not really.
Bill.
Something that was ongoing, and if they would be, if we're interested in participating in that, he's glad to hear that. So I don't know exactly what's coming out of it, but I think those two entities are
Mariah Mitchell and Lane. Okay.
Brian Mitchell and Lane
And I know,
together.
I know from being a member of the Nantucket Biodiversity Initiative that we did approve a funding of a study, research by an individual of crabs in general in the harbor in only certain locations. So we're not the only ones thinking about it.
Now hold this on your corner.
If you want another copy. Okay.
I think that just from the publication you just gave us, it's pretty evident that all over people are trying to find ways to give incentive for people to trap the crabs. Our chairman pointed out his concern at one of the other meetings of how it would affect the environment, trying to eliminate one species in the harbor. But I had a chance to talk with Paul Sojourn finally about the green crabs, and it's been stated here before that he put a trap out and there were hundreds of them, but he also came up with information on how they eat the roots of the eelgrass. I haven't read that in any other publications, but I think he's pretty knowledgeable about things, which of course isn't good for the eelgrass. He has a number of traps also. I didn't count them, but he said I could take them, or anyone could, use them. So, I'm just amazed that our town hasn't, since every other town I've talked to has had programs for years, that we haven't done anything. I'm not gonna make a motion now, but I think that our board should make some kind of recommendation to the town to at least catch up with what other towns are doing. I wanna see specifically what towns are doing. Like I said, I think Wellfleet is putting a bounty out there. Apparently from the publication you just gave us, is if you get them at a certain time, they're soft shell. When they have soft shells, you can put them into food.
HTC is upstairs. So, would you say, Ken?
Well, from the publication that you just presented to us, they talk about getting it at a certain time of the year when they have a softer shell. But I guess the main point of what I'm saying is that I think we should, as a board, should come up with something to propose to the town to make it that our town does start doing something, since so many other towns are.
Do you maybe think we would wait to see what Mariah Mitchell and Land Council learns from their studies?
Yeah, well, like I say, I think there's, like with a lot of issues, there's already tons of research.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to wait on another report, but
Okay.
I mean, certainly I'd be kind of interested to see if they have come up with a population number, how many crabs are out there. But I think it's obvious that something should be done by our town. It should have been done years ago.
So who would we recommend this to the Natural Resources Department?
Well, yeah, all the other towns seem to leave it in the hands of the harbor master. They say that when they go out on their boats, they drop traps and then check them when they go out at other times. But apparently it's the harbor masters that do it in other towns. Unless, like I said, one town on the vineyard subcontracts it so the guy can sell them for conch bait. I don't think there's going to be a big market, like I stated in other meetings. Even what they're talking about for food, there's not going to be a big market because the green crabs are everywhere. Get on the internet, they have video of up in Maine, and it's just amazing how many crabs are in one area. They're pulling them out out of the burrows by the handfuls.
Huh. Well, the appropriate place would be the Natural Resources Department.
Yeah, sure.
I think.
Yeah.
So maybe I could work up some sort of letter and bring it back to the next meeting, and you guys could critique it. And
I think it's important we move on it. Yeah.
what do you guys think about that?
I would say normally it would be the shellfish wardens that would be doing that kind of stuff, or headed, spearheading it or supervising it or whatever. So probably should go with that, I think. Who's over the shellfish warden, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, you guys in favor of me writing a letter?
Anything to implement a harvest sounds like a good idea to me, Mr. Chairman.
Do you want me to make a motion, Peter?
If you want, Ken. Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that the board send a letter to the Natural Resources Department to at least develop a plan, or find some kind of way to implement a plan to address the green crab issue.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I'll have one for the next meeting. If there's nothing else on that subject, we could move on to boat washing detergents. Do we have anything more on this that we haven't already talked about from our gray water discussion?
We addressed the boats introducing gray water, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's still houses along the docks that discharge their washing machine right into the I noticed in the past that a woman had it done that way. She said, I couldn't get the plumbing done, so I just put it right. Of course, that was many years ago, but I don't know if the town checks on anything like that either.
I find it hard to believe that
Yeah.
they would be doing that. I mean, given that we're going to be extending sewers into Shimo and Monomoy right downtown that's already on the district, in the sewer district, I don't think there'd be anything like that. But
I don't know how they check unless they went around to every coastal structure.
okay. All right. Well, public questions and comment? None.
Mr. Chairman.
Andy.
Well, on the note of what Mr. Kuntz just mentioned, you know, and I felt this way, you know, with hazardous waste, that, you know, there's new people come to town, and, you know, some just may not. I mean, you could come from New Hampshire and think that setting up a French drain for your washing machine or showers it's what you did in New Hampshire. Why wouldn't you do it here?
Well, you couldn't get a building permit, right? If you
No. After the fact, somebody, well, you know, I don't want to hook this up to my sewer. It's easier for me to just dump it into the yard or over the side here. I don't think we should feel so comfortable that everybody just knows to follow the rules and is willing to follow the rules. I think after a certain amount of time, when people sell, new people come along, depending upon where they're from and how much awareness they have, you simply never know. It's not. I'm sure it's not a common thing, but I wouldn't put it past somebody to think that they're saving in some way, or it's easier to do it this way because this is the way we always did it back in Tennessee. And French drains are a very common thing up north. When I spent my 15 years in New Hampshire, anybody who had a problem with their septic system, it was suggested to them by the septic system pumping contractor to put as much of your kitchen sink water, shower water, especially your washing machine, create a separate French drain, which is just a slang term for you know, a gravel bed and a pipe running into it.
Okay.
I wouldn't rule it out.
Okay.
That's all I'm trying to say. And Mr. Kuntz, can you make it to this crab meeting?
Well, it's up in
Ipswich?
Ipswich. And that's a little bit of a haul. What I was going to do is, down here at the bottom, when they talk about the speakers, Roger and Warner and Jonathan Taggart of Green Crab Research and Development, a new nonprofit organization. So I was thinking of contacting them and see what kind of information they had that they could share with us.
Maybe there'll be some minutes taken from this meeting that can be obtained.
I'll see about that. I'll see what products will come out of the meeting that we can get a hold of.
If I could make two quick comments, Mr. Chairman,
On
if I may, to two of our board members here. I'd just like to say to Mr. LaPuma that the meeting's always more interesting when he's here. And I'd also like to mention to Mr. McClure, if you are elected to the planning board, will you continue to work with us here at SHAB?
I would say yes.
Okay. I'm hoping that you
Yes,
do.
or until you as a group would decide that, or I don't, you know, I can come to meetings, or you as a group for any reason thought that it's inappropriate or whatever.
I don't think the meeting times are conflicting, and there are many people here, present and past, who have served on 2, 3, 4 boards at a time. So I would hope that.
You're really getting way ahead of yourself.
Off the record, you've got my brother a little nervous.
Well, I think that you could look at this board as a vacation
Yes.
from the amount of work that you're going to have if you get elected to the planning board. So,
That was my feeling.
okay,
Question came up before, so yes, I think my plan would be to stay on this board.
okay, good, absolutely.
Thank you for that time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, all right. So recap and items for next meeting. I'm going to write a letter expressing our views, which will be edited by you guys at the next meeting on green crabs and how the town should be involved. I'm going to find out if the green crabs meeting in Ipswich on Thursday can give us minutes, maybe even a link to information from that meeting, or hopefully maybe it was televised or taped. Okay. I'm going to put eelgrass and dredging on the next agenda, as well as green crabs. I'm going to contact Jeff to see what's up with the subcommittee, if that's going to happen in relation to gray water. And I'm also, as a general question, ask why we haven't seen natural resources staff at the meeting in quite a while. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
Mr. Chairman, relating to letters, if I may, quickly.
Yes, Andy.
I just noticed in the newspaper that the notice is out for the next Household Hazardous Waste Day, and it is not in Spanish, English only.
Okay.
I was hoping that there would be, some action taken from that letter.
That's just coming Saturday?
I believe it is,
I think it is.
but don't quote me on that.
Okay. I'll I don't know what I'll do, but anyway, if there's nothing else, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.